Welcome to the EY and the Ocean Opportunity Lab session on value-based ownership and entrepreneurship, power to change the world. We are so honored to have a distinguished group of people with us today from various countries around the world. From EY, we have Hanne Thornam, Partner Sustainability, sharing a bird's eye on our society. And Mette, Ballari, EY Partner Family Business, sharing perspectives on the challenges for family business and purpose-driven leadership. We have Rebecca Henderson, Professor at Harvard Business School, Reimagining Capitalism in a World on Fire. And we have Marta Widz, Research Fellow at the IMD Business School, sharing perspectives on family business's role in creating a sustainable future. So that is the introductory part. And we also have two parts on value-based ownership and entrepreneurship. And I'm so delighted also to share the group of owners that are with us here today. We have Aino Olaisen, the chair at Nova Sea, value-based ownership. We have Camilla Hagen Sørli, board member at Canica, talking about power to change. We have Tarald Nustad, founder of Nordic Impact, sharing his story, and Trond Riiber Knudsen, founder of TRK Group. From the entrepreneur side, we have a fantastic rig with Ina Braverman, CEO and founder of EcoWave Power, on a mission for renewable energy. We have Tor Østervold, who is the CEO and founder of Eco Subsea, and a third generation shipping and fishing family. We have Liane Thompson, CEO of Aquai, and we have Agnes Arnadottir, CEO and co-founder of Brim Explorer, fifth generation owner, and this week she was awarded the shipping name of the year, celebrated by Erna Solberg by Vista Norway. So I think we are up for a fantastic morning session here. We are in from various locations in Oslo and around the world, and we really hope that you will enjoy. Please feel free to ask questions during the seminar. Please also feel free to visit the expo of the Tool community partners in the Tool Aquarium. And we hope that you will also utilize the opportunity to network among each other. So enjoy the day.
Hello, everyone. I can't see you, of course, but I'm very happy that you are here to listen to this topic that I'm very passionate about. I am Hanne Thornam. I'm a partner in EY, and I'm head of EY's Climate Change and Sustainability Services in Norway. And I will now talk to you a bit about the big picture around sustainability and why it's probably one of the absolute largest business opportunities of our time. So a little bit about myself. I've been working as a sustainability consultant for the last 14 years now. And it's probably 17 years ago that I realized that there is a kind of revolution about to happen. There is increasing focus on sustainability of business and the responsibility that businesses need to take. And also that there is a connection between profits and being responsible. And now, a few years later, it's very amazing to see how this has become reality. And we are now working with the largest companies across the Nordics, and also with investors who want to seize these opportunities. But before I go into my presentation, I wanted to share this video with you all, which is a short video made by the WWF together with Netflix, and was presented to the leaders at Davos at the World Economic Forum. This is a nice way of showing you the bigger picture and the connection of business. Her kan dere vise videoen. Great. So with that background, just to introduce you to the way that we speak about sustainability in EY and when we work with our clients. It's basically, in a way, the sweet spot where environmental and social considerations and business returns meet, as we see it. And it's also about long-term value creation. And this is reinforced now by the focus from the investor side on sustainability and what in the investor world has now become known as ESG, environmental, social, and governance. And our latest investor survey for this year, 2020, shows that 98% of investors are considering this type of information when they're making investment decisions. And this has changed in the last 3 years that we've done the survey in an amazing way. In the first years that we did this survey, it wasn't that impressive to use these numbers, but now it's basically all investors that we ask globally. And lately, it's also about climate change, and the focus from investors is very much around climate change. And this handsome man, Mark Carney, has said it well when he was the governor of the Bank of England. He used strong words and said that firms that align their business models to the transition to a net zero world will be rewarded handsomely. Firms ignoring climate change will go bankrupt. So quite bold statements there about the importance of sustainability to the success of business going forward. And you may or may not have heard this number, but it is said that there's at least 12 trillion US dollars in business opportunities related to us achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. Basically, the world needs to go in a direction, and in order to get there, there are lots of business opportunities to make that happen. So how are we doing on the Sustainable Development Goals then? So across the world, of course, there's a lot of challenges still in reaching the Sustainable Development Goals defined by the UN. And even here in Norway, there are several goals that we still need to do a lot to contribute to achieving. The goals here that are marked red are the goals where Norway still has major challenges. So to talk a little bit about them, the Zero Hunger Goal, the reason Norway has challenges around that goal has to do with the way that we eat in Norway. So maybe it's not something that we would think that we contributed to, but basically because we have a high level of obesity in Norway, and because we have what's called a high trophic level to what we eat, which basically means that we eat food high up the hierarchy of the value chain of the ecosystems. So we eat food that needs to eat, or animals mainly, that needs to eat other animals that perhaps eat other animals or insects that eats plants, rather than eating lower down in the pyramid. We also have still a lot of challenges / opportunities around the goal number 12 there, which is called responsible consumption and production. It's now been said that Norway is only 2.4% circular, which means that we have a lot of opportunities in making sure that what now is waste becomes resources in a circular flow of resources. Also, we have a red light on climate action, goal 13, and this is mainly related or to large degree related to our exports of fossil fuels. It's very much recommended to have a look at these goals and look where we are and how Norwegian businesses can contribute, or in whichever country you are in, to look at where the challenges in the country you are in still needs to solve. And also, if you want to have a closer look at what's going on in the rest of the world, this same report has a very good overview of the status across the world. And just briefly now to show you that although there's a lot of red lights around the world in terms of our progression towards the Sustainable Development Goals, there are also some lights and some yellow and orange dots around here. So why is this a business opportunity, or what is driving this business opportunity? Actually, for the last decade, investors and the financial market has been a key driver to sustainability focus in businesses. And now it's really coming to a peak, it seems, or perhaps not a peak, but even not a peak. It's accelerating, is what I'd like to say. And Larry Fink, who's the CEO of BlackRock, the largest asset manager in the world, has said that we're seeing a fundamental reshaping of finance, and that the evidence on climate risk is compelling investors to reassess the core assumptions about modern finance, even. So now investors are defining criteria for what green is and working to channel money in a greener, more sustainable direction. And through that, also pushing companies, both from the old world and the new world, to be more sustainable. Another very important factor driving this opportunity now is how regulators are being increasingly bold about sustainability, and that is in particular in the EU, actually. So the EU has set very ambitious goals for cutting greenhouse gas emissions and moving towards renewable energy, as well as saving energy. And they've even committed to mobilizing 1,000 billion euros before 2030 towards the green transition. And they're planning on mobilizing both public finance, but also stimulating private finance. And what's also interesting is that the types of regulation that are being developed now are perhaps bolder than before, and also hitting business in a different way than it used to. An example of that is how the EU has introduced a ban on single-use plastics, which basically will impact the business models of a lot of businesses involved with those kinds of products. And we haven't seen those kinds of bans before. And what we're expecting is that regulation going forward now will have that kind of quite harsh effects sometimes on businesses that are not sustainable. What is also driving this opportunity more and more now is that customers are actually changing their behavior. So in the time that I worked with sustainability, customers, at least the consumers, have not been very focused on sustainability or not willing to pay more for it. But in the last few years, we've really seen, at least in rich countries, a large shift in this direction in how people spend their money. And what we've also seen in a recent consumer survey that EY has done during the COVID crisis is that a change in customer behavior have been accelerated. So in this global survey, we found that 35% have changed what they buy, and 53% believe their values and how they view the world will change. So if there's a time to try something new and change, this is really it. So where specifically are these opportunities? A lot of them is, of course, associated with climate change. And according to the International Panel on Climate Change, we have less than 10 years to cut emissions by 45% if we want to avoid more than 1.5 degree warming. So what does that mean? That means that we have very little time to develop new types of energy, to develop new types of transport, of infrastructure, ways to reduce waste, ways to be more energy efficient. And in all this, of course, there's a lot of opportunities. We've also become more aware of plastic in our environment. We've now found that there is plastic in the air, in the Arctic and in Antarctica. And this is very depressing, of course, but it also shows that there's an opportunity around developing new kinds of products that are not as dependent on plastics. Anything that's made in plastic can be made by wood. And it means that we can develop clothing that does not lose microplastics when it's being washed. Or we can develop technologies to help clean the oceans. A third huge challenge, which probably also will be an opportunity going forward, is that we are now becoming aware that in the last 40 years, we have lost 50% of the biodiversity on the planet. And also that only 4% of mammals in the world are wild. So how can this be an opportunity? This is, for example, an opportunity for food that is based on plants and not meat. It's an opportunity to increase the greenery and nature that we have around us, or to create alternatives to palm oil or soya that is contributing to deforestation of the rainforest. To conclude my presentation, I wanted to introduce two visionaries that I'm sure you know of, but to show how they have contributed already to improving the world through their business and their vision. So Yvonne Chouinard is the founder of Patagonia and a hero to a lot of us that are working with and thinking about sustainability every day. He basically started his business making climbing steel pistons and realized that after he had become the largest business on climbing pistons in the US, that these pistons that you had to hammer into the mountain were actually damaging the mountains as well. And an example of the way he thinks, he just stopped that business, stopped the production that was the core of his business, and introduced a different type of aluminium choker that you could put into the wall without hammering it into the wall. And basically his clients followed him, and he quickly became the largest business on this field again. And through his career, he's been pushing his now huge company, Patagonia, who's working with now mainly with sports clothes, to be more sustainable and to meet their mission of help solve the environmental crisis. And Patagonia was one of the first companies to introduce organic cotton before that was a concept. And basically he's been pushing the business with a focus on sustainability, even reluctant to grow it too much, but has had amazing success because his customers has seen the mission that they have and want to be part of it. An interesting example was they tried to boycott Black Friday, but the next day had huge sales from their fans. The other visionary that you all know, who inspires me and many others, is Elon Musk, who basically has built his business by trying to solve the largest problems that we have. So his steps to save the world has been, one, to get rid of fossil powered cars, and he's made a huge leap in that direction for us. He's also convinced that there probably will be some sort of event that can lead to human extinction. So he believes that we also need to be able to colonize other planets. Thus, he's created SpaceX and is working on space travel for us. And his third step is to also work on hyperloops and faster transport. So that will also be interesting to see how that develops. But what's inspiring about these two is that they've seen the problems that needs to be solved in the world, and they come with solutions to solve it. So our question to you listening is, are you part of the solution? And is your business part of the solution going forward? Thank you.
My name is Mette Ballari, and I am the head of private client services for EY in Norway. For the past 15 years, I worked with owner and next generation owner of family businesses and family offices here in the Nordic. I have taught them about the owner roles and responsibilities in order to help them make good framework for the ownership as governance, owner strategy, family consult, and how to work well together when you are a family who owns a business or a fortune together. 3 years ago, we created a competence program, The Art to Lead a Family Enterprises, because our client wanted a program to prepare them to be a responsibility and engaged owner. Today, we will introduce you to a new program EY has made together with the Ocean Opportunity Lab and the founder, Birgit, Liodden. 80% of the value creation in the world come from family business owner. 3 or 4 businesses in Norway are family owned. That means the choice the owner made have a huge impact on our society and our world. And we all know that the world is changing, and it's changing very fast. So the goal for this program is to help owner and the next generation owner to prepare themselves in order to make the best choices for the future. But what do family business owners think about the future? They understand that the power and capital they have can make a big difference to the society and the world around us. By becoming aware of their value and what makes sense, they want to influence through sustainability choices that are at the same time positive for the family, ownership, the management, and the society in general. But when there are several people who are going to own together, it is important that you have clear value, vision and goals for ownership. In order to have a common drive force and commitment to take the family company forward, everyone must be involved in making a plan for where they want to be in the future. Because you cannot retrofit people in a finished vision. Because then it's difficult to motivate, it's difficult to focus attention, it's difficult to create cooperation, and difficult to measure progress. In this program, we will give you knowledge so that you will be engaged to work together as a team on a clear plan for the future. And now I hand the word over to Birgit Liodden, our partner and founder of the Ocean Opportunity Lab. Thank you.
Norway has strong family businesses, built up by the entrepreneurs of previous generations who seized the opportunities in their time, challenged conventions, and created their life's work. Today, the family companies are largely professionalized, and it is demanding to take care of the entrepreneurial spirit. Both Norway and the world are facing several major shifts, which with COVID-19 constitute a perfect storm. At the same time as today's models are being challenged, it is in the unresolved problems and the world's need for sustainable solutions that our great opportunities lie across today's industry verticals. And at the same time, a rapidly growing ecosystem of Norwegian and international entrepreneurs is emerging across the country, with Oslo ranked as one of Europe's 10 most exciting entrepreneurial cities. We also have a range of world-leading ocean clusters, all spread across the coastline. The entrepreneurs contribute with new mindsets and solutions across the existing ones. We depend on succeeding in bridging generations and accelerating the interaction between the small and large players, and especially in the heavy industries that are to a lesser extent captured by entrepreneurs in the tech world. When Norway is to build the business community of the future and prepared for continued global competitiveness, we need to work together. We must get good products on the market, succeed in scaling, and maintain the power of innovation as well as speed in an increasingly demanding world. The founders wish to be an invaluable restructuring engine for us, but they need close interaction and innovation partners from the established ecosystem, something a number of accelerator and incubator programs already deliver on. But the next generation of owners hold the key to realizing these potentials, but they need expertise, inspiration, and networking to succeed. The companies they need for the future, they find not only in the previous generation and established institutions. There is just as much to get out to today's entrepreneurs and learn from those who want to build new companies. Together, we can deliver in new areas that respond to the world's need for sustainable solutions. So to the content of the program. In part one, we will look at what challenges we experience in the world today and how it affects your industries. In part two, we will look at what does it take to start and run a business, which prepares you to be able to meet startups to get help to solve the challenges you have. In part three, we will look at creating a plan and strategy for the innovation company. And in part four, we will do a selection and follow-up. The time is now right to start up and start investing in startups and learning. We will then follow up with a new meeting point, meeting selected startups who work with the topics you are going to solve, which match their criteria, focus areas, and value platform.
In our global world, the deadly disease, the deadly coronavirus spread and provoked an economic crisis, moral, psychological, and social crisis with the speed not seen before. But how some of the large multi-generational and global family businesses deal with that? My name is Marta Widz. I am a research fellow at IMD Business School in Lausanne in Switzerland, and I'm also the head of the evaluation committee of the IMD Big Tech Sustainability in Family Business Award. And I would like to present you the profile of Firmenich, which was the inaugural winner of this Sustainability in Family Business Award. Firmenich is the world's largest manufacturer of fragrances and flavorings, which are used in various industries such as food and beverage, beauty, household care, and fabric. About 4 billion people worldwide use a product which contains fragrance, flavor, or an ingredient produced by Firmenich. And those fragrances, flavors, and ingredients can be found in yogurts, for example, which we eat in the morning, and in perfumes, which we use throughout the day, or in shampoo that we use when we go to take a shower. Firmenich is celebrating 125 years this year. It was founded in 1985 by 3 business partners. One of them was Charles Firmenich. The company was consolidated in the Firmenich family hands through different marriages and buyouts in early 1930s. Currently, the company is owned by family owners from the 3rd to the 5th generation. The 6th generation is growing up to take up the role of responsible owners in the future. The governance at Firmenich is meritocracy-based. There are 9 board members. The board is chaired by the family member. It is Patrick Firmenich, who used to be also the CEO, but most of the directors are non-family directors. There are 5 out of 9 non-family directors. The company appointed the first non-family CEO in 2014. It is a global company headquartered in Geneva in Switzerland with about 8,000 employees and the revenues reaching almost 4 billion Swiss francs. In response to the coronavirus, Firmenich adapted very swiftly and decided to manufacture the disinfectant solution. Obviously, this is not part of their core business, but the manufacturing lines could be adapted to produce it. It increased its capacity to donate 100 tons of such a solution to different hospitals, medical services throughout the world. Patrick Firmenich, the family chairman, said, "We are a responsible company, and for us it is critical to demonstrate our solidarity. It is critical for us to protect our people and the frontline emergency staff to combat that pandemic." Let's have a look.
Firmenich has proven that solidarity is more contagious than the virus. And at the same time, I would say Firmenich has proven that this company is resilient in the face of adversity. So these will be like the 2 key words, solidarity and resilience. Our number 1 priority for Firmenich during the COVID crisis was looking after our colleagues. We wanted to make sure that our employees are safe, their families are safe. And we have taken early measures. The first travel ban we put in place was the end of January. We sent our people for home working at the beginning of March. So we have taken these early measures. I don't know how many other companies had an international travel ban end of January. Obviously, during the COVID crisis, there was no creation of new perfume brands. So there was little need to flowers from India, jasmine that is mainly known in India. What we have asked our joint venture partners there, we said, keep buying the flowers from the farmers. So this is the commitment that we have made these farmers to make sure that we support them during this time of uncertainty. And at the same time, we looked after society, where we found that there is a need for this hand sanitizer gel that we have provided for free for the medical institutions for them to keep going. Solidarity and resilience, both of them, are an extension of sustainability, because in sustainability, you have the social commitment, you have the human rights commitment, you have the environmental commitment, and that's where under solidarity, we looked after, every component of society. We looked after our customers. We made sure that they always had goods to supply their consumers. We looked after our colleagues. We made sure that they are safe and their families are safe. And at the same time, we had a significant contribution to society.
Sustainability would help resilience, but you have to show resilience irrespective of sustainability, and you have to be a responsible company irrespective of being resilient or not.
Resilience and sustainability. It looks these are the two pillars of Firmenich success. Sustainability, well, impact-driven innovation, resilience, agility, company structure, next generation preparation, and it is all based on values and legacy. Interestingly enough, I hear from some large family businesses that COVID times are not unprecedented times. So are they, or are they not unprecedented times? Well, I think it depends very much on the DNA. The DNA matters. Some of the family businesses would hibernate, take up some loans, and just sleep through the crisis, hoping that once they wake up, the world will be different and they can continue their activities. Some of the other family businesses would embrace the crisis. Well, Firmenich belongs to the second category. Sustainability and resilience runs in their DNA on the family side and on the firm side. Let's start with the firm side. What goes into Firmenich elixir? Family governance, innovation, research, and development, and definitely a family. Firmenich has a very long history of innovation. Let's have a look at these Calvin Klein 1 perfumes. It was introduced in the 1990s to the market, and it was an innovation because it was a unisex brand. For the first time in the perfume market, a unisex perfume was developed, and it was developed in Firmenich laboratory. It took the master perfumer Alberto Morillas 8 months to develop it. And you know it all, it became a blockbuster. Well, but the tradition of innovation goes back longer than 1990s. Already in 1939, the chemistry Nobel Prize was awarded to one of the employees of Firmenich. And the 10% of the revenues is spent every year on research and development. Firmenich is a very trustworthy company. It cares about the employees, it cares about the community, and it cares about the customers. It has the inclusive capitalism business model. Just to give you an example, it became the first company in the industry, the first in Switzerland, and the 7th worldwide to be certified as a gender equality employer, which means it ensures equal pay between genders, and it offers equal opportunities in recruitment, promotion, and training. Firmenich started to share the profit with all of its colleagues in 1950s, that is early on. It also includes disabled people. 2% of the workforce make the disabled people. You can imagine that the people who, for example, are blind, they develop other senses more intensively. And, well, those people who have a very good smell sense, they are very valuable employees for Firmenich. Firmenich also received a AAA certification for its climate, water, and forestry, the way they manage it, and it decoupled its growth from the CO emissions. And it has one of the most ambitious goals to operate 100% with the renewable electricity worldwide by the end of this year. All it is put together into a strategy, a sustainability strategy, which is called Positive Pathways to Positive. One of the elements of that strategy is, for example, teaming up with Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to tackle on the problem of the access to toilets, because 4.5 billion people worldwide don't have the access to toilets and the proper sanitation. And Firmenich engages in so-called new sanitation projects to provide the access to toilets to those people. But the DNA of a firm starts with the DNA of the family. That smells lovely. Yes, it's a spirit of the family. What is the family DNA? Well, first of all, the family defines the values. These are the shareholders who are the guardians of the firm, and they are driven by the values which they put together and named fundamentals. And sustainability has always been there as a fundamental value. It was before called codes of ethics, but as the world developed into sustainability, this value got developed into very broadly understood sustainability. The shareholders, there are about 40 shareholders right now, and they are also the guardians of the independence of Firmenich. However, it is important to notice that the business needs and the shareholders' needs are balanced, because the business always comes first at the Firmenich family. And business is also governed on the meritocracy based, with the long-term thinking, and all the decisions are, of course, aligned with fundamentals. Well, let's have a look at the family side.
And when you behave like a family-owned company, also when your name is on the door, you have a different view of many aspects of the businesses. If you want, in a publicly traded company, what I have seen over and over again is that the leadership team of those companies know that once they are gone, basically they are gone. And what happens to the company is not anymore really their problem. I know that the day I will retire, I will still be around, and somewhere, somehow, I will still be accountable for what's happening with the company. As a company, we were always a company that wanted to behave like a responsible company. And in the 70s, so about 50 years ago, we decided to frame our values, the core values of the company. And one of these core values at that point was called standards of ethics. And basically it was saying that the company would always behave like a good citizen, will always treat its people well, will always apply the strictest norms of safety, of environmental protection around the world. So this was always part of the DNA of Firmenich. Next generation of the Firmenich family is absolutely not different than the next generation of young women and young men around the world. When I was their age, it was not on my agenda. It was not something that was concerning me. Now, thankfully, the young generation is obviously very concerned by that, and the young generation of the Firmenich family is equally very concerned by that. We see it in the questions that we have from the shareholder. We see it at our general assembly, the questions that they have on our fundamental. And we believe it's also very important that our shareholders, the Firmenich family, are proud about what the business does, are proud about the way the company behaves. So the new generation is also influencing the entire company, being sure we continue to walk the talk on sustainability.
I was born in a family business in Geneva, in a family business. Well, with a family business, I was very lucky. And I learned how to really think in an entrepreneurial way and think creative, and also, most importantly, transmit what you have to the next generation. And that's part of me. It's who I am. For me, the meaning was there are so many things you can do to improve the planet, the pressure on natural resources, the people that live in poverty. And one of those things is your investment. And what we want to do, our meaning, is to give a human face to investment. I discovered that there is a network of next geners also from family business that want to do something different, that are in philanthropy, that are in impact investing also. And I went to a conference where I met really people like me, and we decided, why not do a network here in Switzerland? So with 3 of them, we did a network here in Switzerland. We organized already events focusing as the next generation that is concerned about the state of the world, and putting them together with great speakers and to reflect and to do stuff together.
Good. It is a great pleasure to welcome Ben Firmenich to the today presentation. He's the 5th generation family owner, but also an entrepreneur. He's an environmental scientist, and he teamed up with another next generation family member. And what is common to both of you are your values, which drive your activities.
Yes, Marta, thank you. Indeed, we really met with Cedric, and I come from, well, Firmenich that you presented. I'm a very proud member of the family. I think we're doing a great job in sustainability. I myself wanted to study environmental sciences, so I went to the Netherlands, to Wageningen University. I had made a master there, and then I joined, right when I came back, I met Cedric, and since then, well, we've been working 10 years in building that asset manager, and we also, I co-founded the Swiss Better Gold Association to import to Switzerland the gold of small-scale miners. Also Nexus Switzerland, this is a movement of NextGen, a global movement, and with other members from Switzerland, I co-founded the Swiss chapter. And latest co-creation was I support now the Center for Sustainable Finance and Private Wealth of the University of Zurich, and I think it's crucial for impact investing that education has to be very strong for advisors, for family members, wealth owners. And Cédric himself, it's not his first company. He started already 2 before that are asset manager and a broker in microfinance, very successful, Blue Orchard and Symbiotics. And so he came with that experience and wanted to replicate the success, but not only microfinance, but SMEs, agri and food, cooperatives, exporters. And he founded also Sustainable Finance Geneva, where he wanted the bankers and the sustainable finance world to meet with the impact investors and the impact investment manager like us.
Do you have a definition of your impact investment?
Well, I prefer to use slogans, mantras. It's easier for me to define what we do with that. So yes, the entrepreneurs, mission-driven, that's what we look for. Entrepreneurs that have a mission, have a purpose. The companies we support, their business model must be impactful, be it in different sub-strategies where we work. So if it's agroforestry, if it's a small-scale producer. And of course, our investors, we help them, we support them to give a real purpose to their wealth. So this helps better define what we do, yes, and impact investing.
It is wonderful, giving purpose to your wealth. I think every of the next generation would really dream about having opportunities and value-driven projects like yours. But how do you actually operate? I mean, you embrace the equity side as a shareholder of Firmenich. Yes. Impact investment is more on the debt side.
So yes, what we do exactly, Cédric, it's his experience to give loans to companies, and as a shareholder of Firmenich, of course, it's my private equity activity, but with Impact Finance, we really want to be a partner of these companies that are sometimes cooperatives, sometimes family businesses. They don't necessarily want to have an equity investor with them. And so we are there. It's also straightforward. We give you the terms. We support in your growth phase with a debt. We accelerate your activity, but we don't take stakes. We don't take shares in the business. And that's very, in our own philosophy, it's a different work than private equity, private debt. And of course, well, the fund, it helps also to attract investors because the fund is liquid with debt. Investors can enter and exit every 3 months, and it's a unlimited duration. And of course, because we have reimbursements from loans, they can exit whenever they want. And we focus on private investors, so other families that join, and that's really crucial for us to get their feedback also on what we do. And the feedback we get from our investors is always very helpful. And of course, they expect a return. That's wealth, that's investment. There's no impact without having a profit also. So, and today we finance 36 companies. And since the beginning, we disbursed 200 million to 86 companies.
But of course, you don't finance every company. You have a strict selection criteria. Yes. But generally, how do you find one another? How do you, as impact investor, find the companies you would like to invest in, and how those entrepreneurs find you?
Okay, so we tend to be the ones looking for them. We use the term scouting. We really go out and look for them, where you can find entrepreneurs, and in the agri and food business is in these fairs. There are many fairs on food in the US or in Germany. There is an organic fair in Nuremberg every year. And we go out there and we look for companies that are active in Latin America, and we make a first contact. Also, we have brokers that bring us some deals sometimes, and people also with the word of mouth between entrepreneurs, they come to us and sometimes on our website. And well, the criteria, it really has to fit in one of our sub-strategy. So be it agroforestry, small-scale producer, the company has to fit to these strategies of impact. And then, of course, have a business model that is convincing for us. The minimum sales, that's important. Also, not to finance too early stage companies. We want to finance companies that are already established. And of course, not too indebted. And we take guarantees also because we had some experience where with no guarantees, you can risk a lot. Now, we help them a lot on the cash flow projections. That's really the heart of our work, to be able to be repaid. We work on monthly cash flows, and the governance is always key. What the problems we encountered were many times caused by bad governance, and now we are very strict. We ask that they have board of directors, that they have independent members, supervision, and we are very cautious with that point.
How do yours and Cedric competencies contribute to the success of impact finance? Are there any competencies that you have learned from your family businesses of your origin that help you in this venture?
Yes, well, from my family business, putting the company first, that's really our core value at Firmenich. We say the company always comes first, and hard work and put the best people on your board, on your top management, and this is really helps me when also we finance family businesses. They all sometimes have heard about Firmenich and they want tips, they want advice, and for this I'm here. And it's part also of the package, strategic governance advice. And Cedric, it's more on the really financial side, on the cash flow, the financial analysis, the risk analysis of these companies, and also for managing a fund, all what is needed for risk management, portfolio management, compliance, the rigor he gets from his banking origin.
We talked about your total commitment to impact and traceability. Can we maybe look at some of the past success stories of yours?
Yes. Here we have 4 companies. For Switzerland, this very famous Nestle. Well, everyone has shares of Nestle, or if they want it or not, right? We financed this company called Terra Fertile. It was in 2014. Yeah, they had a turnover of 12 million. I remember I was the one who met them in Biofach in Nuremberg. And I passed the contact to Cedric. He visited them in Ecuador, and we financed them. We grew with them, and they were our biggest client. And when they had a turnover of 60 million, they took Nestle as a partner, and well, Nestle took over, and that's a real success story for us. They repaid, of course, and now they're part of Nestle, but still the founders are still active in the business. And De Guste, this is another company in Peru who does quinoa and was bought by a German company. Now we still finance them. They still use our financing. And they, of course, passed from 4 million to 10 million and still are growing. Runa in the US, it's a beverage. It's a natural Red Bull from guayusa. It's a leaf that you find in the Ecuadorian forest. And they've been bought by Vita Coco. This is a famous coconut water beverage company, and also repaid our loan. And the last one is in Ecuador, is a quinoa buyer to smallholder farmers, really a promoter of quinoa in Ecuador, because as you may know, quinoa is more from Bolivia originally, but they started planting it in Ecuador, and they make a very sustainable production of quinoa there. And here it was taken over by a company that has the franchise of KFC, and interestingly, they now propose quinoa in their KFC meals.
Mm. Here, of course, the mission accomplished, success is defined as giving or acting as a trampoline for those companies to then be integrated into bigger structures. But let's look at your success stories of tomorrow. You told me something about restoring ecosystems, about integrating farming. For me, this is also a success, the way you invest in companies which contribute to the Sustainable Development Goals.
Yes, that's, well, at the heart of our strategy, those Sustainable Development Goals, they guide us. And for example, this project is called Cajay. It's in Colombia, and it's in our sub-strategy agroforestry. So the idea is to conserve or sustainably manage forests. In that case, you can see the picture. It's a zone that was degraded by cattle, and that is now planted with local trees that produce those nuts that it's a very special nut called cacay, and it's used for the skin. It has properties as good and even better than argan oil. And you can see on the picture the tree nursery. So they not only they planted 400 hectares, they're also selling trees to other producers, and they're promoting the crop in the region. And another of our sub-strategies, this time it's called integrated farming. So what we aim to, before in agroforestry, it was more life on land, these forests, but with integrated farming, it's a more social component. We want decent work and economic growth, and so, but also being produced sustainably. So it's an example here in Mexico. I was there in last year, at the end of the year, in Jalisco. They plant avocados, and this generate quality jobs on the rural areas, and it's made also sustainably with a very controlled land. It's not taken on forest. The agricultural practices also are very controlled, and the quality of the product is high. They export with a Californian company that buys their avocados.
Thank you very much, Ben. Your impact investment is a leading example on how the resilience and sustainability and the values of Firmenich family spills in a way to your activities, to your sustainable investments. Wishing you good luck with that, and I hope you will be serving as a role model for many other next generations of wealthy families.
Thank you, Marta. So was it not too long?
It was
15 minutes. Right?
Hold on, I'll tell you right now, 14 and a half. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
A little bit on the long side. Let me just see how I can stop recording. I don't know. I stop sharing and stop recording. Do you want to stop recording? Yes. Concluding, the resilience and the sustainability is the DNA of Firmenich. DNA which is very well seen and documented on the family side and on the business side. The resilience and sustainability results in wonderful things like inclusive capitalist business model, or the wonderful way of withstanding the crisis with the customers, people, creativity, legacy, sustainability, and the long term. The intertwine of resilience and sustainability is what positions Firmenich in the second bucket of family businesses, which embrace the crisis. Thank you.
I'm here to talk about reimagining capitalism in a world on fire. And where you're right, the world is on fire, and it was on fire even before the current pandemic. Why reimagine capitalism? What is going on? For me, there are two big reasons. The first is the accelerating inequality we're seeing right across our society. Capitalism is amazing. I teach at the Harvard Business School, and I'm a huge fan. Sometimes I think capitalism might be one of the greatest inventions of the human race, but right now it is not delivering for the vast majority of people here in the US. Over the last 20 years, wages in the bottom half of the distribution have hardly budged. The wealthiest 1% now control 40% of the US wealth. We're seeing inequality viscerally as we live through the pandemic. The people we term essential workers often don't have sufficient savings to enable them to stop working when they're sick. They often don't have sick leave. They are $400 away from disaster. So first reason to reimagine capitalism, accelerating inequality. Second reason, we're chewing through the planet. It's easy to forget during the pandemic, but climate change has not slowed down. Even with the pandemic, we've cut greenhouse gas emissions by only about 8%. Our entire civilization is churning out carbon pollution, and we're already seeing the results. You remember the fires in California and in Australia, massive floods in Jakarta? Houston saw 3 500-year floods in 3 years. The prognostication for climate change is getting worse and worse. Everything comes out on the wrong side. The Arctic ice is melting faster than we thought. It looks as though most of South Vietnam will be underwater by 2050, whatever we do. And the Department of Defense is forecasting hundreds of millions of refugees heading north, away from a band around the equator, which experts have just suggested might well be uninhabitable within the next 30 years. So we have capitalism, an incredible source of productivity and growth and innovation and dynamism, running through social capital, really not supporting our society, and running through environmental capital, really chewing up the earth. So that's why I think we should reimagine capitalism. Sometimes people say to me, well, why reimagine it? Why not just throw it out the window? And I can understand where that comes from. But alas, I don't think we have many good alternatives. I think we need to fix capitalism. And to be precise, I think we need to rebalance it. The problem with capitalism is it needs rules. For example, in the case of greenhouse gases and carbon pollution, we need to regulate the burning of fossil fuels so that it is cheaper to use renewable fuel than to use fossil fuels. At the moment, every time you use fossil fuels, you're imposing very significant cost on the people around you. If you imagine that I have, let's suppose I have my hands right here full of electricity. In fact, I have 1 kilowatt-hour worth of electrons in my hands, and they're produced by burning coal. So a kilowatt-hour of coal-fired electricity will cost me about 5 cents. Not very much. But this same amount of electricity will cause at least 5 cents in health damage right here, right now. One of the striking things about the pandemic is the early estimates suggest that the reduction in emissions we're seeing have probably saved more lives than COVID has taken. Fossil fuels are so dirty, literally dirty. My colleagues at the School of Public Health estimate that between 2.6 and 6% of GDP is lost in health damage every year from the burning of fossil fuels. So this handful of electricity I have that was produced by burning coal, 5 cents of health damage, and another 5 cents at least in climate damage. So every coal burning firm on the planet is imposing almost twice as much damage on the society around them as they're taking in revenues. And it's not just coal. Every time we drive a car, every time we use cement, we're imposing costs on the society around us. The beauty of capitalism is that it responds to pricing, to the right prices, that wonderful balance between supply and demand. But if things aren't priced properly, capitalism isn't really a free market. It isn't really free and fair. Similarly, in the case of inequality, if you can if you can drive wages to the bottom so that the people living at minimum wage have to use government food stamps, don't have adequate education, don't have adequate healthcare, you don't have freedom of opportunity. You don't have a genuinely free and fair market. You have something else. You have extractive capitalism, a capitalism that privatizes the profits and externalizes the costs. So what we need is a rebalancing. This is an old idea. We need democratically elected, transparent, responsible government to control carbon pollution, to invest in education and healthcare, to make sure that the minimum wage is a livable wage, to make sure that your chances in life are not determined by the zip code where you were born. Right now, where I sit, I have some of the best healthcare in the world. But if I drive 100 miles west, people have a life expectancy lower than in Botswana, in America, the richest country on the planet. So we need a government that can hold the free market in balance. I was talking about reimagining capitalism to an old friend, and he looked at me and he said, "You don't really want to reimagine capitalism. You want to sort of go back to the capitalism we had in the 50s, only without the misogyny and the racism and with more transparency." And that's sort of right. I want to get money out of politics. At the moment, 70% of the American population says that they think the system is rigged and that the rich and the powerful control politics. And what's really disturbing is when you look at the political science research, there's a lot of evidence to suggest that they're correct. So I want to reimagine capitalism by rebalancing it. Most controversially, I think business could help. Yes, clearly we need a major political and social movement. But our politics, I don't need to tell you this, are so divided, so partisan, that it's unclear the political system can fix itself. And I think until and unless business plays a role in helping us to rebuild our institutions, we'll continue to struggle. So my book is 200 pages on how business could reimagine capitalism. It summarizes 28 1.5-hour sessions of the MBA class I teach. I've tried to put into the book a sense of how I think business could make a difference. I outline 5 major ideas. First, that there's a lot of money to be made in addressing social and environmental problems. It's not just Elon Musk at Tesla, although that is amazing, right? He built a company with a market value greater than General Motors on the initially crazy idea that electric vehicles were going to be the future. Now he's pretty much changed the entire car industry. So that would be one example. But there are many, many others. You've probably heard of Impossible Meat, that had one of the most successful IPOs of the last 20 years on the basis of selling a burger made for soybeans. If I told you 5 years ago that that was going to be the most successful IPO of the 20 years, you would have gone, I don't think so. Lots of money to be made in addressing these problems. That's clearly not enough. While firms can make a huge difference, Walmart, for example, committed itself to drastically reducing its greenhouse gas emissions and completely driving energy reduction right throughout its own supply chain and operations, and took $1 billion to the bottom line when they re-engineered their trucking fleet. Even for Walmart, that's a lot of money. So, bunch of business models. We now have literally hundreds of cases about firms doing this at multi-million-dollar scale. Clearly not enough. Firms need to get together to make doing the right thing pre-competitive. When Unilever, for example, decided that it wanted to use sustainably grown palm oil, it tried to do it. It found some sustainably grown palm oil, but it cost 20% more than conventional palm oil. That was quite a lot of money, especially when, in general, consumers are not willing to pay more for sustainable products. They're willing to switch. We know that companies that move in a sustainable direction see market share gains if the product is as good as the product customers can find elsewhere, but they won't pay more. So Unilever was left going, well, I want to pay 20% more for this oil, but I need all my competitors to also agree to buy sustainable oil. So we're seeing across the world hundreds of these kinds of collaborative agreements coming into fruition. In palm oil, the Roundtable for Sustainable Palm Oil early took the lead. By 2015, nearly 70% of the world's traded palm oil was being bought by companies that had committed to buying fully sustainable oil. Nearly the whole industry had switched. It didn't work. These kinds of collaborations are tricky. The firms that are committed to buying sustainable oil got the oil they needed, but the Chinese and the Indians who were less interested in sustainability, less able to afford it, were still buying conventional palm oil. But the experience that the consumer goods, the Western firms had accumulated, was able to help them really begin to shift the whole industry in a more sustainable direction. So we're seeing create shared value, that is, build a business model that solves inequality and climate change, and at the same time as you make money. We've seen collaborate together to do the right thing pre-competitive. And then last but not least, whoops, how do we deal with the really big problems where everybody has to move for there to be a business case? Two ideas, and I'll stop. Firstly, there's some indication that we might be able to rewire finance to address these enormous collective action problems. Take climate change as an example. Walmart took $1 billion to the bottom line by improving the efficiency of its trucking fleet. But most companies, and Walmart's no exception, found that you can reduce energy and switch to renewables, but that you can get like maybe half of the way there. But there's still another half, which is too expensive for any single firm to do on its own. Everybody has to move together. Take inequality. Firms work to raise wages, to treat their people with dignity and respect. We have a lot of research now suggesting that firms that take the high road, that use their people as resources, can pay more, can deliver higher value. Wonderful to see. There's no way it's going to solve inequality across the entire economy. We need to change labor legislation. We need to invest in education and health at scale. So how do we think about these very big problems? Can we rewire finance to make a difference? I think we might be able to.
Climate change and pollutions are affecting our oceans greatly, and this is only getting worse. And as human beings, our lives depend on the ocean's health. The ocean industries need to be completely emission-free and waste-free, regenerating life and resources in the ocean as part of the business models for the future. At the same time, there is an unleashed power of innovation within the ocean industries, where change makers do not find each other and huge potential is being lost.
The unused powers of people and connections have always been a mystery for me. If there are people with skills and people who need those skills, how can we not just connect them? And I always thought the world was probably a little bit smaller than it was. I started actively searching for jobs when I was 12 because my aunt in Hollywood, she used to send me these signed pictures. It was Tom Cruise, Winona Ryder, the gang from Beverly Hills, 90210. So of course, I knew what my destiny was. But job ads back then were in the newspapers. So every day I would search through the papers. And it was a bigger shock to me as it probably is to you. There were never any lead roles against Leonardo DiCaprio there. But still, I kept searching. But what actually landed me my dream job years later was pure luck. It was one of the leads in what became one of Norway's big TV successes, and I since built a career that I'm super proud of. But I pretty soon discovered that, you know, at that time also in the industry, it was almost the same as when I was 12, looking through those papers. It was impossible to find that easy connection between opportunities and talent. And it was like, depending on these insufficient job ads, then you just needed to have a dose of pure luck. And I had to fix this. I built Time to Riot, and in a few years we built a marketplace with more than 55,000 members who actively use it to find opportunities in the creative industry. Freelancers use it as their home base, showcasing the work that they've done, their professional network, and the companies have an easy access to these talents. But then I started seeing something else in the world, because all other industries are having these same connectivity issues. And the needs that we have for these connections are just greater and greater. Every single industry needs to be able to nourish their networks, build their marketplaces, find ways to give easier access to opportunities and to resources. And at the same time, we had a platform that could help. And through this, we could actually enable the real change makers of the world.
Technology will be the enabler to create the world we want to live in. It has been seen as an enemy and something that will destroy us or take over the world. Sustainability, on the other hand, has been seen as fluffy, not being in line with earning money or building a profitable business. It has been something you need to do. But there is a change going on. Investors are shifting focus towards solutions and businesses with a core in sustainability. Top talents wants to work at companies that have great core values and focuses on making a real impact. And how to handle the emerging technology is taking its place on the political agenda. Things are happening. Our strong belief is that technology will be the enabler for us to reach the global goals. Companies which are reducing their environmental footprint and keep sustainability as a core have the brightest future. This is no longer something that needs to be done on the side, but to be part of the solution. This is why we founded Heddy, to help create innovations that will have a great impact and to co-invest in ideas and companies that really make a difference. Our vision is to make a tech imprint for a better world. And with Tool, we are one step closer. Tool is a real innovation, something that will have a great impact within the ocean industry. Everything with Tool is built from the heart of making a change. And that is the shift that is coming within the startup world and the unicorns of tomorrow. They will not only be focused on profitability, but be built from the heart of making a difference. The world is ready for new kinds of ideas, new kind of leadership, and a shift of mindset. This is what will enable us to connect, innovate, and reach the global goals.
The urge of solving a problem is often the seed of an innovation. It can be something completely new, something never done before, sometimes even something never thought of. This might be a huge challenge and an amazing journey. A journey that constantly changes in this rapidly moving environment that we are in today. As we today, of course, shall celebrate a victory as a launch. A digital innovation is not done on this day. Quite the opposite. The seed is just embarking, feeling the sun and getting ready to grow. In this phase, the growth phase, each interaction will give us knowledge to optimize and reach out with our solution worldwide and with our purpose. We will evolve as a solution with each problem we solve and each connection we make. And we will together grow stronger and reach out with our community. As a unity, we stand strong and make a difference. With Tool, we want to make it possible for connecting people in a relevant and optimized way. We want to build a community that will take part in our growth. We know and strongly believe that sustainable growth is earned, not bought. And by offering high value to our community at all times and with an always improving mindset, we know that we can achieve this. We will be humble, we will listen to our community, to the people around us, we will look at data and trends and take them into consideration and test our way forward, knowing that we have a lot to learn and loving that we have a lot to learn as well. Because growth is not about doing the one right thing. It's more of testing as much as possible, learning as much as possible, doing all these kind of experiments and finding our way forward. Learnings like this will lead us to growth as a company and lead us closer to reaching our targets. This way of working, together with our strong and flexible tech and our amazing people in our team, will be our success factors. Our roots in building growth and reaching out with our purpose worldwide and really make a difference.
We need to empower generation cleanup. Imagine a world where we unite the problem solvers and the problem owners, where entrepreneurs have access to the same global network and resources as the big players, where the innovators can find the resources they need at any time and spend their valuable time developing and scaling their solutions. What if we could connect the entrepreneurs, corporates, clusters, investors, academia, with opportunities, investment cases, innovation ideas, problems needed to be solved, competence needs, and more. Through third-party match, all users tag their contributions and needs. Each user can see if their personal connections match needs and contributions and can introduce them to each other to enable things to happen. See your community and resources on a global heat map. Easily find the opportunities and competences you're looking for globally. Validate maturity assessment of startups and maturity analysis to ease the match of needs and contributions, as well as investment interests.
Hey, if you're a startup seeking collaboration with a larger business, you really need to overcome the not invented here syndrome. You need plenty of warm introductions and then really work from the inside to gain that shared agenda. And that's where the matchmaking platform comes in.
Hi, I'm Matthias, one of the co-founders of Blue Seas. We're building a platform for selling ecosystem services, for example, from seaweed farms. And if you would ask me to tell you what the biggest challenges as an entrepreneur is, I think it is actually finding the right people and the right connections at the right time of your startup. And that is the biggest challenges right now.
Hello, my name is Agnes Arnardóttir and I'm one of the founders of Brim Explorer. One of the greatest challenges as a founder was to convince investors that investing in sustainable boat tourism could be a good idea. And the second biggest challenge has been to cope with the corona situation, working in the boat industry.
Hi, my name is Glenn Edvardsen. I'm the CEO of Vesselman. Vesselman is a project tool for dry dockings and technical projects. What we see in the market today is that we are trying to bridge the gap between traditional shipping and how they do things when it comes to dry dockings and technical projects into the new now, which is obviously digitalizing the whole process. Challenge that we see here is that ship owners, they don't necessarily see the benefits and the need But the benefits there through better planning, reduced time and cost, and the need, everybody is in the cloud, everybody has to be digitalized going into the future. So we look forward to the future, and not at least, have a great day.
We see that a key bottleneck for the corporates is often to find the relevant entrepreneurs, as the startups often lack the network and the visibility into established industries.
Hi there, this is Angelica Kemenet from OptimaX Maritime Innovation Hub. Challenges for startups are found in the piloting and validation region of their products. There's also an issue with the openness from companies to engage. It might be the case that startups don't really understand the risk picture when they talk to owners and managers regarding the internal decision processes of a corporate and the commercial aspect processes they follow. Corporates, on the other hand, lack sufficient processes to manage this pipeline of startups knocking at their door. And in the end, there is a knowledge gap in how they can better engage together. For this, it would be nice to cross-collaborate broader in the industry.
I have set up businesses now in Hungary, Israel, the United States, where Acquire Corporation was founded originally as the parent company, and now Norway with Acquire Norway. Each country clearly has its own challenges, and I would say that the main challenge in Norway is being able to integrate into the business culture and the society itself. Now, we were fortunate that we actually have Norwegian partners, and they've helped us tremendously. But still, it's up to us to learn how to maneuver the business culture and to have the patience that it requires when operating in Norway, because sometimes some of the systems move a bit slower than, let's say, in places like Israel, the United States. Thank you.
Hi, Birgit. So what I think is the main challenge for entrepreneurs in the ocean space raising funds is that there are still very few investors out there that have the expertise to assess the opportunities efficiently and rapidly. And so that's what we try to do at Blue Ocean's Partners, is actually to help build this expertise to catalyze more investment in the space. Thanks. Bye.
As we started our journey to realize our vision, we reached out to our network. And then, through third-party matches from two amazing women, we found Heidi and Riot. From completely different industries and backgrounds, female-founded companies on a mission to change the world. In the middle of the COVID-19 lockdown, unable to meet physically, we started our fully virtual adventure of creating a Tinder for ocean startups to connect with the resources they need and accelerate the speed of innovation for sustainable solutions. While others laid off employees, paused their businesses, and cut new initiatives, we staffed up, invested millions, and rolled up our sleeves. All through the COVID-19 crisis, we have kept our eyes on the ball. How can we help innovators thrive and succeed amid such a turmoil? Tool is about collaboration, realizing that we can only succeed if we work together for a better future. Collaboration outcompete competition. It goes beyond borders, cultures, and industry silos. We knew that the only way to succeed was to bring in partners, sharing the same values and vision for our future, but at the same time representing very different skill sets and backgrounds.
It's time. It's now that we are solving these issues. It's now that we are enabling innovation globally. It is time to accelerate the path towards reaching the global goals.
The world has never had a greater need for connections. The world has never had a greater need for a way to nourish your own networks and your own communities. And it's so good to be able to give you the tool that you need so you can go out and change the world.
It's time to grow. We have the technology, the tool to do so, but we need the community as well. We need to mobilize and do this globally to really make a difference together.
We have never had a greater need for the right tool to match problem owners with problem solvers, startups with resources, opportunities with innovators, established resources with those needing them. I am so proud to present the tool we have been working on. Tool Spawn is bridging the gaps, connecting generation cleanup and change makers, building the bridges between the big and the small, across silos, and bringing the different generations together. Our main focus is SDG 17, collaboration for the goals. And with this as a fundament, we set out on a mission to find a new way of collaborating. And when embarking on a journey to empower the change makers, we wanted to build a future with other entrepreneurs sharing our values and commitment.
I am so proud to be working with Birgit and the Ocean Opportunity Lab on their Tool Spawn Tinder for Ocean, because by connecting these innovators with the established industries and those who have opportunities with those with the resources to actually solve these challenges, then it's actually possible to change the world.
To partner up with female founders within tech and to create a platform that makes a real impact is completely in line with Heddy's core. With Birgit's vision and the ecosystem of Tool, I am absolutely sure that this will be the next unicorn and that we will continue to create the future together.
And this is just the beginning. We are building an ecosystem. We are delivering a span of resources to make this happen. And I'm so proud to introduce Tool Aquarium, built by, for, and with entrepreneurs. Our brand new virtual seminar and expo platform, specially made for ocean entrepreneurs with love. In a time of turmoil and lockdown, we wanted the builders of our future to get access to tools normally available only for corporates with big budgets and communication departments. Our launch of the aquarium reflects our commitment to SDG 17. It doesn't matter if you're early stage, where you are located, or who you know. All can gain the same visibility 365 days a year and find fellow community changemakers across borders. Everyone can co-create community events and mingle through individual chats and videos during the events and between, even though we're separated physically. We're also starting to build the Tool Fleet. Tool Fleet is a family of floating resources for innovators and changemakers to meet and co-create, test solutions while being on the water. While we opened our first tool ship exactly 1 year ago at Oslo Innovation Week, we have added 2 more ships from Brim Explorer to the Tool Fleet. And we are currently exploring how to build sharing economy models together. Our collaboration also includes probably the world's first digital school ship here inside the aquarium for youth. And you can also see that our conference room has a brim design. And the best part of it all is the toolbox, a package of resources, benefits, and discounts, leveling out the playing field, enabling small startups to benefit from discounted quality services, ensuring that they're already from day one saving more money than the tool membership costs per year. The toolbox currently consists of free of charge and discounted resources from legal services, Innovation Norway resources, and a special package with Nordic innovators to facilitate easier and better grant application processes for our members. And with Tool Spawn as our latest digital enabler, we can truly make the differences we are aiming for globally. Regardless of COVID lockdowns, regardless of where you're located or your marketing budget, and with some of the best innovation clusters involved already from the start. We have more than 100 partners and changemakers across 17 countries on board already, and will now start the work on recruiting our global ambassador and partner network. We will now start onboarding our existing partners, and if you share our visions and feel ready to be part of the world's greatest ocean and renewable energy ecosystem, request early mover access at toolspawn.com. The Tool project is all about stretching the triple bottom line focus. I believe that we have such short lives on this planet. We need to make them count. We need to make a difference. And we owe it to the kids and our grandkids to make as much difference as we can. If you feel the same way as I do, Welcome on board. Join Tool.
Hi Tool, congratulations with your big day. I'm proud of being part of your journey to save the oceans and making sure renewable energy is the future. Kick ass, have fun, enjoy, I'm with you.
And I see that you lifted up people and solutions and brought them together to make a change. I think that Tool is a platform for this that is much needed, bringing entrepreneurs, bringing businesses, bringing finance together and focusing on some of the main challenges that the world so desperately is needing. I think there have been years of talk. I think there have been many organizations and seminars where there have been talk. But my impression of Tool, and what I'm certain is the reason why it's going to succeed, is because it is built on action. And it is built on motivating people to action and bringing them together. So I'm very, very positive and happy to see that this initiative is now started, and I very much look forward to see the difference that it's going to make in the future for businesses, but not the least for future generations.
I think what Tool does is connect us, be it entrepreneurs, investors, corporates, and this is incredibly needed. And I think what Tool is doing and what the Tool community is doing is materializing what is already a natural state. I think we're all naturally connected. And I think one thing that proves it is the ocean, because we're all connected to the ocean, through the air we breathe, and that is produced for more than half of it by the ocean. Everything we do on land has an impact at the end of the day, on the ocean. And so I think that's our natural state, but sometimes we need proactive initiatives to remind us that we have that connection. And so I think Tool is contributing to that, and I'm really excited to be part of it. And if all of us, we continue to play our role and nurture this connection, great things will happen.
I don't know where I'm coming from. I don't know if I'll have a home. All I know is no matter where we are, I belong with you. I don't know where we might be. I don't know, we'll have to see. All I know is no matter where we are, I belong.